Okay, I want to talk about how humans have a limited lifespan, and I'm going to use the anime Farron Beyond Journey's End. This is another episode. I think it's episode like 4 or 5 in the series, because there's just lines within this anime that have really resonated with me myself, because I myself have had issues prior to, like, humans have limited lifespans, which that we're well aware of. Most of us don't live past the age of like 80 or 90. With technology, it may start to become up to like 120, 150 or something like that, which would be fascinating, because then we can acquire so much more knowledge, experience, and hopefully the vessels that we're in right now, the bodies, won't be able to deteriorate, and we'll be able to become stronger and more capable of being able to withstand that type of age, because it's not necessarily the spirit that ends up dying. And this isn't necessarily the point of the video, but I just need to touch on this really fast. It's not that the spirit's dying, it's that the body's deteriorating because it doesn't have the the long enough telomeres. With this telomeres are just ways of being able to connect, and like the more that they get worn down, the longer that the body's going to deteriorate, and it's why we end up passing. But if we can figure out how to extend those, then we can have a longer lifespan. But since we don't have a long lifespan, we exist much closer to death than like Farron right here, the elf, does, and the other person that she's talking to. So it's just like, we must all make important decisions at several points in our life. I've had multiple of those, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples as well too, of multiple different tough decisions that I myself have been able to make as well too, because like I always wanted to take different paths, but I realized that I can only ever take one path at one point in time, but I can always share these different paths in different ways, in the kind of ways that I do. But it's just a matter of being able to decide where you want to be and the things that you want to do, because I have struggled with this myself. So it's like, we as humans cannot afford to delay them, because like we are humans. The person that's talking is an elf, so it's just like we can afford to wait a century or two, even ignore them for millenniums, pose no obstacles, because like as our time is closer to an eternity, whereas like humans, their life isn't as close to their like our lifespan as ours are. So it's just like, there's this whole, I wish I would have recorded a little bit more within the scene, because afterwards she talks about like how as soon as humans are able to develop, we're able to like get more done in less time. It's this thing called Moore's Law. Like, you probably noticed it within like AI or computers or technology or something along those lines, where there's this different aspect to being able to create these different ways of being, because now you can start to create and see things that you didn't originally be able to like create beforehand. Because each year, like back in the day, you had to have a computer that filled up the entire room. This is also kind of beyond the scope of the video, but I just need to give this as an example. The computer in the entire room would like fill up the whole like room basically, and now it's like you can have that same amount of memory and or more within your pocket. So it's just all about being able to make these decisions, and the more you make decisions, the easier it's going to help you to be able to move faster within your own life, because it's like we all must make important decisions at several points in our lives. And I want to talk about this because this is my way of being able to formulate ideas and thoughts. And I was talking to one of my buddies last night at the gym, where I was just kind of speaking out loud about how I needed to do some things. And I'm like, I know I've talked about this a lot. He's like, it's all good, dude. Like, you're just talking, like getting your words out. Because this is how I express my ideas. I can do it in writing as well too, which I have done. But I figure like this is something that I myself have been able to resonate and talk with, and be able to formulate my ideas and different opinions. Maybe it'll inspire you to go like maybe share your ideas online, because like if you're already writing or if you're already creating or something like that, you might as well just connect with these other people that are kind of along that same journey as you're on as well too. So like this is me exploring certain ideas, because I've had problems with making decisions in the past at several points in my life. So there's a point where back in March, about a year and a half ago or so, which is interesting because I have other times where I have been able to make decisions fairly quickly, but then there's been other times where it's taken me a lot more time to make these decisions. So like back in the day, back in March, about 2 years ago, when I was visiting one of my buddies, I was like, yeah, how could I create my expenses to next to nothing? Because like my rent was a little expensive. It's all subjective at the end of the day, but nonetheless, like you could be like, it's expensive. So it's like, oh, I'll just go live in my car, live in my van, or buy a van. And I started watching this dude on YouTube. I was like, hey, that's kind of cool, like that he's living in a van and like he's getting to see all these different places. But I was like, I just don't like this small aspect of like, that's the only thing that I have. Like I have come to the world to experience like more luxuries and things like that, which like if you look at this right here, like I mean, this is just something that I have, and I like being able to see it. I'm like, I want the nice things. I want to be able to have the conversations. I want to be able to like still go out and camp, like go visit like Japan and like have all these like luxury items. And you can be like, oh, that's like vain of you. But I'm like, to me, I don't see it that way. I see it as like, that's just a decision that I have made in my life, and I want to move forward with that. So like I decided, but it took me forever to have to overcome the decision to be like, you know what, I don't want to just live in a van, but like if I have a van, like that'd be cool. Like I can just go travel from time to time, but like me making that my full-time thing, I didn't want to do that. That was not the vision that I had in mind. And I talked about this in a different video around like just, I think it was around making the impossible possible, or like it was the kind of adventure. So it was the video right before this one, or like I did end up taking off a whole year, and I made the decision to like leave a job that was very successful for myself. It was making me around like $100,000 a year, and it was a sales job. And I was like, you know what? I want to go explore these different ideas within my own mind. And I thought I would go live in the van, but I was like, nah, like I still like being able to have a house. And I was like, I'd rather understand like my emotional state with where I'm at right now, so that then like once I do understand my emotional state, because I didn't think that I was emotionally mature enough to to receive the type of abundance that I was wanting in my life. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try something a little bit different, because like to him, like this is his life. Like this is what this dude enjoys doing, and that's great for him. It's the same thing with this girl as well too. Like her decision was like she was an NFL like model cheerleader prior to like her selling everything and like living out of a Prius. Like that was what she decided to want to do, because her life was completely different. Like she was having this whole like NFL cheerleader, celebrity hairstylist, and like glam relays, and then she's like, you know what, I'm just gonna toss all this out the window, and I'm gonna go live out of my car, and then I'm gonna upgrade and go onto the van, and I'm gonna go to all these different places that I didn't originally know existed in the first place. To me, like that sounds cool, and I thought that I would enjoy doing that as well too. But I would rather travel in luxury. Like that is something that I would rather have. I'd rather, like, don't get me wrong, like I don't mind having to go out and like have like the minimalistic stuff of like a van and having people not know like how much money I'm actually making. Because I came to that epiphany the other day when I was at McDonald's. I was like, right now I have next to nothing like in my savings account, whereas beforehand I had way more money than I had ever had beforehand. And me, for some odd reason, something just clicked where it's just like, okay, I have made, like, nobody knows how much I'm making. Nobody knows the type of income that I have. Like, for all we know, like, she's making so much money, but like she's just doing what she enjoys doing. So she's just sharing those things. So I was like, oh, this is something that I would also want to do, because I'm like, oh, I can just live for cheap, and I can live out of a van, and I can just go talk and meet with people. But I was like, I like going to the gym too much. I like working out. I like having like a consistent people to like talk with and show up with. I realized that after this past year, but I still also do love going out in nature. I still love going on hikes. I still love doing things on my own, but I also like having that connection with other people. So I had to make that decision of like being able to find that healthy balance between the both of them, because I don't want to just have to be in a car driving all over the place and having to find places to like sit and sleep and whatever it may be. There's nothing wrong with that, but that was just not my life that I wanted to live. So I was like, you know what, I'm still going to watch anime. I'm still going to watch TV shows. I'm still going to go out and like explore these different things. Like it can just be one subset of my life. It doesn't have to be my whole life, but like I'm trying to help you realize that there's different lives and different ways that you can live as well too. Because this guy as well, I liked his channel a lot. His channel just showed up one day on my page, and I was like, oh, I could go do this type of thing, like where I just go out into the mountains and I just hike, or I just camp and I make videos out of that. But then I'm like, you know what, I just kind of like going out into the mountains and just being out there, just to be out there. I don't want to have to necessarily have to move my camera around or do all these different things, or like have to film this and then have to come back and edit it. So I'm like, that was a decision that I also had to make. Like I decided that yes, it would be great to have this and like have a channel where I'm like getting hundreds of millions of views or something like that. Or I could have a channel where I'm like helping inspire the people that are in the same shoes that I once was, that are trying to find a direction, that are trying to find purpose, that are trying to find some sort of drive, that are trying to find something. So it's like, I would rather inspire somebody that is previously in my shoes, that like enjoys watching anime or that enjoys playing video games, and can hopefully try and find like a different way out, or try to find something that's more creative and make a decision to like change their life in a completely different way, because we're all just one decision away. Like me making the decision to leave my sales job, that was one decision that completely changed my life. It was just like, okay, now I get time by myself just to like remove every other past conditioned experience that I had ever had, and get to learn more about my emotions, more about myself, more about my desires, more about myself, more about the way that I want to view the world and live in the world. And I was like, that was a decision that changed my life. It was just like, well, how am I going to make an income? It's like, I don't know, but I have skills. I have the ability to edit. I have the ability to talk. I have the ability to sell. I have the ability to create. I have the ability to relax. I have the ability to attract. I have the ability to manifest. Like I have all these abilities and all these skills that are, I would say, high value that other people could use, but I felt like I wanted to sell everything and just get out of this place of where I was at, because I wasn't happy. But then I was like, wherever you go, there you are. And I talked about this with this other girl, the one that you saw in the last video of her like on the lake. I brought that up to her, and she's like, that's a good point. Because I was like, if I can be happy with where I'm at right now in a place that I'm not very happy in, then if I can learn to be happy in that said place, then regardless of wherever I go, I'll always be happy, because I'm always the one thing that remains constant. And that's a big decision that I've had to make over the years of my life, is being able to realize that, like, you know what? wherever I go, there I am. Wherever I want to be, there I am. So I'm like, might as well enjoy the place that I'm at right now, so that then when I do start to make those changes, then it will be more beneficial. But I did delay this decision for some time because I was like, I don't want to share these things. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be thought about in a negative way. I don't want to be disliked by other people. But I've come to realize that regardless of where people are at, they're going to dislike me. Like, I've had people that have told me like, hey, I don't like how you smile. I'm like, all right, bro, like clearly that's something against you, not against me. And it's just a projection because I'm somebody that people seem to project things onto me towards. Maybe the same way. You know, like, why do all these bad things keep happening? But it's like, they aren't bad things. They're lessons. They're stepping stones to help you improve, to help you grow, to help you transform your life in a more meaningful way so you can make better decisions. Because each decision that you do delay, you get better at starting to make other decisions. So it's like, I can decide all of a sudden just to be like, I'm done making videos, but it's just like, I don't want that to be the case. I like making videos. I like sharing these thoughts. I like sharing these ideas. As I said at the beginning, like, I like being able to like express my ideas, my thoughts, and my opinions in a different way. I like speaking. I like just being able to talk about the things that I want to talk about and letting the law of attraction attract the people to the videos that they need to be attracted to. Because maybe right now you're stuck and you don't know how to make a decision. That's what I was at. I was trying to figure out, like, I wasn't buying anything. I wasn't buying like soap because I was like, well, if I do sell this, then I don't want to have this big thing because then it's just like, it's going to be a pain to move. But now I'm like, you know what, bro? This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to make as much as I possibly can make. I'm going to help out as many people as I possibly can help. I'm going to inspire as many people as I can inspire. And I'm going to have as big of an impact that I'm able to have on the people that are wanting to have an impact on. Because I can never bring anybody to the water. Let me rephrase that. I can never make somebody drink the water. I can only bring them to the water. So I'm like, I can bring you up here. What you do afterwards, I can plant as many seeds. If you water them, cool. If not, like, no worries. Like, that's really up to you. But that's the decision that I've had to come to. And I've had to realize that, like, I can't decide what somebody else is going to do with the information or the videos or the content or the whatever I share with them. I can't decide or make a decision for you. All I can do is make a decision for myself. So I've had to decide on, like, okay, well, what is important? It's like, okay, well, clearly I still watch, like, I enjoy watching anime. So, like, that's important to me. Okay, I still want to learn and have, like, time to like exercise. So like, clearly that's important to me. It's like, okay, like, I created an Excel sheet of the amount of money that I spent. It's like, okay, clearly I enjoy having a nice house more than I enjoy having nice food, even though I love food. But I'm like, I would rather have a nice house than nice food. But then I'm like, okay, well, why don't I just have both? But it took me forever to make the decision because I was like looking at these other people and I was comparing myself to these other people online of like, oh, like, this dude seems happy because he's living in a van. It's like, oh, okay, she seems happy because she's living in a van. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe I need to go live in a van. But then I'm like, I don't like the aspects that go along with living in the van. I'm like, I would rather just be able to buy a ticket, rent a van, buy a van, have a house, like, have the luxuries and the monetary means to go do all these other things. And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. No, not at all. It just as it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. All it means is that you decide to put in the work. You decide to try. You decide to show up every single day in ways that other people weren't willing to do. That doesn't make you a bad person. That just makes you human. That makes you willing to try because everybody's going to be bitching about something. Everybody's going to have their gripe or whatever it may be that they have. But like, if you're able to make the decision, you know that the things that you're doing are right for you and the people around you, then you're golden. At the end of the day, you still have to make a decision for yourself on what you do want. I had to decide that I wanted to stay here for the time being. And that was the decision that I made. And I was like, how is this going to work? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. So that's what I just constantly want to recommend and remind you is like, your decisions, like, yes, you can delay them, but like, if you truly want something, you have to make that decision right now. Like, you have to decide, do you want to accelerate your progress by like booking a coaching call with me? Like, you can make that decision right now and I can help you accelerate everything that you have going on in your life right now. Or you can keep staying where you are at, which if you're happy with where you're at, then by all means, like, keep doing that. The decision's yours because I can decide to pick up the phone. And that phone call that I make to that person can completely transform my life. I can decide to make a video and post it online. And that video that I decide to post online can completely change my life. Like, it happens in a single day. It happens in a single instant. It's like, you never know what's going to happen. But like, as long as you're putting stuff out there, as long as you're giving your all, whatever that all is going to be the best way to be able to grow. And as long as you do it in a way that is genuine and authentic to yourself, as I like doing these types of videos on this channel. I also have another channel where I talk about different ideas a little bit, but I'm just like, I like being able to relay these things to you. I like being able to give you a little bit more in-depth insight into like my own view of the world, even though it's not so much a niche down around like this specific anime, because it's like, these are things that I have had struggles trying to decide. But like, once I make the decision, I'm like, this isn't what I want. It's like, okay, cool. Now I can start to focus more on things that I do want. Like, I want to keep making these videos. I want to talk more in public. I want to make more money. Like, I want to have the relationships. Like, I want to have these abilities to be able to create things out of nothing. So I keep showing up. I don't know which one's going to hit. I don't know which one's going to stick. But I do know that me creating something over and over and over again is bound to get something to work, because each time I make a video, make small little improvements, tell a little bit of a different story. But like if you're having a hard time just struggling or deciding, like wait a week, wait a day or something like that. Like the other day, I couldn't decide on whether or not I wanted to cut off the beard. And then I was like, you know what? I just got up and I cut it off. It's that simple. Like it doesn't have to be this hard, overthought thing. And I know I've been guilty of that, of overthinking things quite a lot and delaying the decisions longer than I needed to. But sometimes it's the thing that needs to be done. Because I was talking with a family member of mine the other day, and they brought up this aspect of like, you have been able to make decisions fast. It's just like when you want to move out of the house and into your own place, like you're able to do it just like that. I was like, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. So I always thought it took me a while to make the decisions. Sometimes I will sit on my butt to make the decision, but once the decision's made, like it happens so fast for me because I go and I go and I go and I go. It's why there's videos on this channel every single day, is because I like being able to create something every day whenever we need to have something or whenever the inspiration strikes. I'm like, I'm going to batch all this content. I'm going to make as much content as I have because I have this this decision that I can do this. So I just go out and I do it. And then I just repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, because I can't delay like making decisions anymore, because I realize like I'm never getting younger. I'm only going to be getting older. So I might as well share these experiences with you that is a couple of steps behind me, and maybe you can start to get it in front of me, because there's a scene after this as well too, where she ends up talking about how like the people that will surpass you is like either somebody that I can't remember, it was one was like a human or somebody else. So it's just like, if you have somebody that's been there or done these things or is able to accelerate faster than yourself, then you have a lot more strength and skills and capabilities than you ever would have imagined. It's just a matter of like, are you able to create this thing? Are you able to make this thing? Are you able to decide on what you want to do? Like, I know that I want to have clients. I know that I want to coach. I know that I want to be able to inspire you to go live a more fulfilling, joyous life, because I've had so many people on the internet and online and in person and just all over the world inspire me. So if I can pass that knowledge and that inspiration and that insight and that motivation down to you, or even that information, then I will have done my job in the ways that I wanted to do my job in. And if you find these types of videos insightful or inspirational, you can share them with a friend, or you can subscribe to the channel with notifications on. It does help make sure that you never miss out on one of these videos, because if you made it to the end of this video and you've listened to a madman spiel about like animes and living in the van or like doing outside things around making decisions, clearly this is something that you're interested in. So just click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. I do appreciate you watching.